Hey, refined one. If you're listening to this right now, that means you have a hunger for something real, not surface level motivation, not an empty advice. You want something that actually shifts how you see yourself, and this is exactly where you need to be. Welcome to the Morning Gear Podcast, Nigerian's mindset podcast for Gen Z. And I am your host, the Gen Z educator, Divine Daniel. If you're returning, welcome back. And if this is your first time, I'm glad you found us. But before we get into today's conversation, I have a very honest request from you. Number one, subscribe to this podcast. On YouTube, hit subscribe. On Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit follow. When you do that, the algorithm takes this conversation to more people who need it. And trust me, there are people out there who need exactly what we are about to talk about today. Number two, like this episode. On YouTube, hit the like button. On Spotify, leave a 5-star rating. On Apple Podcasts, you can drop a review. That one action tells the world that this conversation is worth having. Number three, drop a comment. Tell me where in the world you're listening from. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what you'd want us to talk about. The Refined Gen is a community, not just an audience, and communities talk to each other. We are building something real here, and I look forward to having you with me over and over again on the Morning Gear podcast. Now, let's get into it.
Do you know that the story about Lazarus in the Bible in Luke chapter 16 verse 19 to 31, that is often preached like a roadmap to hell, how it looks like, what it feels like, is not what we actually being told. I bet you didn't know. You see, in that part of the Bible, Jesus was actually telling a satirical parable based off a well-known Jewish folklore or tale, and it was basically a form of warning to the elites who hoarded wealth and yet let the poor suffer in their gates. I bet you didn't know. The essence of the story is just to tell you that systemic greed and economic neglect can also lead to spiritual ruin. So it's not just about an abstract warning about generational disobedience. It targets people who claim to follow God while letting others suffer at their doorstep. It also talks about people who do not believe the scripture, that even though someone has to get up from the dead to tell them about the scriptures, they would still not believe. So basically, the parable is emphasizing caring for the vulnerable as a central requirement for the faith, not just as an option. So basically, where am I going with all this? There are two ways to read the Bible, and reading the Bible in these two ways will help you understand this thing. If you don't read it in this exact way, you might not really understand what I'm saying. So there are two ways which they call exegesis and eisegesis. So mostly what we are taught is eisegesis, but mostly if you want to read the Bible in context, is exegesis, because exegesis teaches you in context, teaches you who they were talking to in the Bible, teaches you what their culture was like, and helps you understand and see why the whole story came about. But exegesis is like you're proofreading. You already have an established belief in your mind and you want to find proof to serve as an evidence to the already existing or pre-existing belief. And that is what we have been taught. That format is how we have been taught the Bible for generations. And that is why it seems like the Bible is contrasting and contradicting itself. And that is why a lot of doctrines and dogmas have been created from this same exact Bible, because we have been taught eisegesis and not exegesis. Now, the whole point of this conversation today is not to talk about religion or not to try to change your belief about religion. I'm just trying to let you know that you should try to ask questions. Just trying to let you know that a lot of things you think you know, you do not really know till you know for yourself. So please go ahead to ask questions about your surroundings, about things, about religion, because believe this or not, the religion was crafted for control. Now, this is going to be a very short episode today because I'm really strong at the moment, but I could not afford not to record and upload an episode because I know I'll feel bad about it because there's a particular target I'm trying to reach. Yeah, so bear with me. This is going to be a very short, but I feel it's going to have much more impact as we go on. Let me put it that way. So, like I have earlier stated, this podcast episode is not to like project my beliefs on you, but it's just to let you know that there are lies, a lot of lies in the world we live in today. And the elites want to control, and they can do everything to, gain that control over you, over every other person in the world. So when you approach things, approach them with, questioning. Have this curiosity to know more. I'll be sharing with you currently my religious stand. And I know this is a topic a lot of people do not really like to talk about, because some people even fear talking about the topic. They fear to explain or to tell other people that they have doubts about their religion, that they are not fully convicted and all that. But if you know me, then you know that I'm not that kind of person. I have been a person who have openly spoke about my journey through my conviction. I have consciously stated that the Bible has contradictions. Yeah. But now, from my understanding now, the Bible does not really have any contradictions. The contradictions that we thought it had, or a lot of people think it has, is based off the interpretations that a lot of people are giving to it. But if you're reading the Bible in context, it does not have contradictions. I've been open about me not being convicted fully about Christianity. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe in God. I believe totally in God. I know that there's a God somewhere who oversees everything. I mean, I believe there's a Jesus, but are they the same ones being taught about in the Bible? I'm not so sure. If you start to research about these things, it gets confusing. And I'm not even sure that a lot of people who think they have gotten answers actually have answers. I'm not really sure. Now, I'm not saying the Bible is fake. I believe the Bible has some truth to it. That is why it is important to question it. Because if I am to live my life based off everything that is written in the Bible as a Christian, it's only right that I get to be convicted about what the Bible says. But based off the different teachings that have been happening, it's not really an easy thing to do. Some people tell you that divorce is a sin. Some people tell you that divorce is not a sin. Some persons would preach that makeup, this, that is a sin. Another person would tell you that no, they are not a sin. And there is a lot. Even the Bible passage that talks about the widow's mite in Mark was not even talking about sacrificial giving. It was talking about the people in authority in the temple exploiting people for their own personal gain. If you read the Bible in context, you're going to see that. So, like I said, in essence, try your best to look for answers. Try your best to be self-led. Try your best to acquire awareness, because I feel there's a reason why we are here. And I feel it's even harder in our kind of society today, but it's also easier because of the internet. You cannot tell someone who was in the 90s to try to understand the world for themselves in that way, because it would be quite hard. But now it's a bit easier because you have social media, you have the internet, you can search for things, you can go in depth in research. Try to know for yourself. I am not ashamed to say that I'm still finding my conviction. I'm not ashamed to say that. Christianity is still a bit confusing to me. Yes, it's still very, very, very confusing to me. I have not found my conviction. And I'm still in the process of doing it. Does that mean I do not go to church? No, I go to church. As for prayer, we are supposed to pray. But the way we actually pray, is that the right way to pray? That's something I'm still trying to build a concrete conviction around, still on that, right? Now, me coming here to also tell you about this should also inform you about the kind of person I am. I don't just teach or educate on what I do not practice. If I tell you that I'm not a person who believes in social conditioning, who believes in not questioning things, then I'm not that kind of person, because I do really question things. And I feel if you actually want to stand out and have a mind of your own and not be in the crowd, then you should also think about certain things in this life that is happening. So yeah, this is just like, I'm giving you a little info about my journey. I believe I would have a lot of questions or a lot of story to this in the coming future. But as I go on this journey to find my conviction, I implore you to do the same. Like I'm saying, I'm not projecting my beliefs onto you. But yeah, before I even end this episode, I want to ask a question, a very critical question. And please, if you do have an answer to this question, or like you want to also help me come to conviction with Christianity and all of that, you can reach out to me on Instagram at thegenzeducator, or you can send an email at thegenzeducator@gmail.com. D spelled as THEETHEE. Yeah, thegenzeducator. Now the question is, if you've gone to church, then I must believe you've heard the term that, sin came into the world and we are all sinners, born sinners because of what Adam and Eve did in the Bible. They ate of the forbidden fruit, and God, because of that, he cursed them because of their disobedience. And because of that, everybody who is born into this world is a sinner. Okay, let's already have that in mind. So we are born of Adam, we have the Adamic nature, and that is why we are most likely to commit sin, because of this Adamic nature in us. But then I have been thinking, we are created of flesh. Do you also remember that Lucifer, if we're reading from the Bible, also committed sin? So if everything God created is perfect and, we are suffering because of what Adam and Eve did, how come Lucifer committed sin? Did he also have what we call the Adamic nature or the sinful nature? If he did, does it mean that other angels could also have it? Because another thing to point out is when angels came down from heaven to the earth, they committed sin. So if we're looking at these things, that means angels too have Adamic nature. So also God did not kind of punish all the other angels present, because of the sin Lucifer conceived in his heart. But then for us, the sin of Adam and Eve has affected everybody. He just sent Satan downwards. Now, a lot of people is going to tell me, Christian now is going to tell me this is infinite knowledge or infinite intelligence. But I'm just trying to let you see the reasons why sometimes Christianity is a bit too confusing and contradicting, right? So if you feel you have an answer to this question, please reach out to me, because I want to have an intelligent conversation with you and hear your thoughts on this. And this is just to reinstate that I'm not trying to project my beliefs to you, but just to remind you that the world we live in is a big fat lie. A lot of things. It's a big fat lie. They try to poison your food, they try to poison your water, and a lot of things. There's a lot of things in this world that are lies, are big fat lies. Until you decide to ask question, you just be like an average human being. And please, when you go about making your own research, please go with an open mind. In all literal meaning of open-mindedness, go like a neutral body. See from the Christian part, try to understand them. See from the other part, try to understand them. Because if you don't do it that way, you just be collecting evidence for your already existing beliefs. Yeah, that's a tip that I feel you'd want. So yeah, that will be all for that on this episode. I believe you learned a thing or two from this episode. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. And I feel I should also say this, the Morning Gear podcast will be turning a year on 24th of August. And I think I have something cooking for that day. Stay tuned. This is the Morning Gear podcast, and I'm Divine Daniel, the Gen Z educator. Do you have a lovely day? Bye.
you just sat through this entire episode, that means something about you. It means you're not the kind of person who just cruise past the things that matter. You stop, you listen, and you think. And that is exactly the kind of person the Refined Gen was built for. The Refined Gen is our community, a space for people like you who are done just existing and ready to actually become. If you are not in it yet, the link is in the description. Come join us. Now, if you're someone who believes in what we are building here and you want to be part of it in a bigger way, we are open. If you want to come on as a guest and have real conversations, if you want to sponsor this podcast and get your brand in front of some of the most ambitious young minds in Africa, if you want to advertise, collaborate, or partner with us in any way, we want to hear from you. Reach out to us on Instagram at The Morning Gear or send us an email. All the contact info is in the description. This is The Morning Gear podcast and we are just getting started. I am Divine Daniel, the Gen Z educator. Don't thank me, outgrow me, and then stay refined.